another episode of Around the Edge. Tom Ahles, managing partner here at Edge Home Finance. My guy, Matty B. Matt.bjorgum, NMLS number
339901.
Bam. Always got to make sure we have those on there because we're going to be talking about loans today, talking about a few things. One, Matt and I have known each other for, I don't know, I'll say 15 years. I think we knew each other a tad bit longer, but that was probably running around in the club days when he was acting a fool. And so was I.
Good at that, though.
Yeah,
I'm good at that.
I'll leave that. But Matt's been with us now. It's been coming up on 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
Yeah, about a little over a year and a half, like a year and 8 months.
Yeah, so coming up on 2 years. I'm glad I nailed that one. Sometimes I think I said it with Andy. Maybe when there's 5 years, like, it's been 10. I'm like, damn. But Matty, good guy. He used to actually work right down the office for us when we had Edge in Edina.
Yep.
And I think you were with, it wasn't Supreme, right? Wasn't it Supreme?
It was Supreme for a minute.
And then you also worked for a couple other guys.
Been with Bay Equity for a little while. I was over at Amic for a little while. I kind of did the
retail rounds?
The retail rounds, yeah. Like, oh, you'll take me and give me some money to come over there, and I got to sit there for a certain amount of time. And, you know, it just, it wasn't really what I was looking for.
Yeah.
I tripped over dollars to pick up nickels. I chased down payment assistance because I thought that's what I needed to have in my business. And it's, you know, looking back on it, hindsight's 20/20. You know, 5% of your business isn't something to go chase after.
Yeah, it took a while. I know for you and I, we'd see each other. I know that you and I have a lot of mutual friends in common. I think you knew Kelvy way before you knew me, because if I'm not mistaken,
I grew up 3 houses up from Kelvy's.
Yeah, sorry to hear that, by the way.
I used to work on a
Kelvy.
pad printing press next to him, like before we got into the mortgage industry.
Yeah.
I got in an accident on my bicycle when I was like 9 years old, and I landed in his front yard when I hit the car. The car didn't hit me, I hit the car.
That's awesome.
So, well, we've got a long history.
Let's bring it back then, just to give our team members opportunity to know you, right? Obviously, you grew up in Minnesota, because I know Nick did, right?
Yep.
Graduated high school. Did you go to college?
I went to Inver Hills for a little while. I got my 2-year degree done. Yep. I was originating loans at a home improvement company doing second mortgages through Conseco and C-Link at the time. Yep. And I made like $80,000 at 19 years old. And I basically said, I'm done. I'm going to do this. I'm good at this. I like it.
Yeah.
And here I am, 46 in October.
I think a lot of people, especially in our industry, there's a big plethora of different groups. You have those with master's degrees, some that I think a buddy of mine that actually owns another company. I'm not going to name his company because I don't want to promote them. But I think his longest grade was like he went through 8th grade and then dropped out. Yep. And now he owns the 4th largest brokerage in the country. To where a lot of people just have different drives, you know. One, they realize the entrepreneurship and like, okay, I can jump into it and make it happen early. All right. Went to college for a little bit. We're doing second loans. Walk me through your journey into the mortgage industry then, because obviously there was a time where you left doing the second mortgages and went to something else.
Yep. So I got a guy on the phone who happened to be working at a mortgage company. We were doing windows and siding for him after a hailstorm. Went to meet him. I had to gather pay stubs. He handed me his pay stubs, and I said, holy, you know what? What do you do? He's like, I'm a mortgage broker. I said, well, I do mortgages. He's like, yeah, you do these little piddly little second mortgages here. I do these $300,000 ones.
Yeah.
He said, what do you get paid? I said, oh, $500-600. He's like, I make $5,000-6,000.
Yeah.
You're doing the same thing I'm doing. And lo and behold, I started at a company called Northland Mortgage when I was 20 years old.
Yeah.
Didn't really have a clue what I was doing. They put me in phone apps, which was basically doing what we do nowadays over the phone with an application, not meeting somebody face to face.
Yeah.
I spent 5 minutes on the phone with the first guy. The owner of the company comes in and, why are you off the phone already? I said, well, I set a walk-in appointment because I want to meet the guy.
Yeah.
And the guy came in the next day, and I still remember him to this day, is Ken with the last name of with an M.
Yeah.
I've done 4 loans for him in my career, and he was the first loan I ever did. I set up a walk-in appointment. They immediately moved me out of that division and said, you're going to sit at a desk over here and meet people now. So I've been doing that ever since.
That's awesome. I think a lot of us in this industry remember our first loan.
Oh, yeah.
Mine was, his name is Jesus, but it's Jesus, I guess is the right way to say it. I'm like, this is destined. I got Jesus as my first client. Like, we're making it happen.
We're gonna
And
make it work.
Fred, who works for us, Fred Rogers, was actually kind of helping me because he was in the industry before I was. And this was the wild, wild west days where you could put whatever you wanted on the closing. It was a HUD back then. There wasn't a CD or a loan estimate. But I had an FDR funding fee, which was his commission.
Yep.
Right. So I could add whatever line items. And I remember the client's like, so what does an FDR fee mean? I'm like, oh, I didn't think he was going to ask. I remember like, well, that's our Fred Rogers funding fee. He was like, oh, okay. And then we just moved on. But I was like, I remember being so nervous. Like, first deal I ever closed.
Well, you expect him to ask all kinds of questions about all the fees, and do you know how to explain them? And can you get yourself through it?
Takes a little bit.
It does.
Takes a lot of learning. I'll tell you, APR is one that most loan officers still struggle with today. Like, can you tell me why my rate is, I thought I was at 6.25, but my APR is, 6.4. Why is that? And it's like, okay. I probably, with honest confession, it probably took me 10 years to be able to answer it to where I understood it.
Yep.
And for those who don't know what it means, APR, annual percentage offering rate, APOR, is all your cost if it's represented as an interest rate in the first year. So I think even when we explain that to clients, they still don't get it, to be honest with you.
Right over the top.
It's one of those that, to me, and I'm trying to lobby to change that right now because broker side, it's different than retail side, right?
100%.
It's like, well, wait a minute. Every dollar that's paid to the corporate, to Edge, is an APR fee, even if it's lender paid, where on the lender side, that's not the case, which is a little bogus. So
it's backwards.
Not to interrupt and go off on a tangent with that, but so Northland, you obviously understood the value of relationships.
Yeah.
They promoted you to that. Walk me through the next steps. I mean, because those were more call centers,
That
right?
was a call center. That was I worked there I was in their I guess their phone app and regular appointment division for 6-7 months.
Yeah.
They charged really high fees. They didn't pay super well. They paid like 1.25%, and they had me charging 3 points on stuff, and I'm like, it's not for me. I had a bunch of buddies who were moving over to this other company with some people who were at Northland who moved to this new company, and my wife at the time was running their marketing department, and I said, why not? I'll go over there. I'll take some leads, and I never really was.
What company was that?
What was that?
What company?
That was American Alliance.
Okay. Because I think I worked with your wife at Ace.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I know you worked with Bill.
Well, she worked at Ace Funding.
Michelle might have been there for a small period of time.
I remember her at the front desk because we would.
You're thinking of Stephanie, not Michelle. Stephanie is who I have my kids with. Michelle was my previous wife, previous marriage. So,
right.
She went over to run that. She went over to run their marketing department, and she's like, I need a good loan officer who can take leads.
Yeah.
Like, well, I don't really need a lot of leads because every deal I get, I ask for referrals. Like, hey, who do you know? Mom, dad, brother, sister, aunt, uncle, your coworker, who's looking at buying a house, who's looking at refinancing, who needs a good rate. And now I got into the industry when rates were at 7.
Yeah.
And then 6.75, 6.5, all the way down to 5.75.
But they were 2-year arms with 3-year prepays. Don't forget with that rate.
Yes, they were.
That's not.
And in Northland, we didn't do any conventional mortgages. We did everything that was subprime.
Yeah, everybody did back then for a little bit. So, when did you make the turn to being a self-sourcing, like self-originating loan officer?
As quickly as I could. I knew that the refi business was fun and it was easy, but there were people who were buying houses. I had friends who didn't get into the mortgage industry who got into the real estate industry.
Yeah.
And I made sure that I let them know, like, hey, you're doing this, I'm doing this, can we partner together?
What year was this?
That's a great question.
I just asked because for me, I didn't start on like purchase business. I don't think I did my first purchase loan until
it was probably
2010.
Okay. I was probably 3 solid years in. I was at American Alliance when we started pushing real estate agents to go after them. Because
what year was that?
Oh, it must have been 2000.
Okay.
Yep. So 2000, 2001.
Okay. Yep. Well, so you got an early.
I got an early start. I found some great agents. I found some older agents who are no longer in the industry. I've had some agents that have passed on that I was working with.
Yeah.
And what I do now is I'm constantly looking for the next best. Who do I get along with? When I have a conversation, I got clients that come in and they're already attached to a real estate agent. A lot of people are like, oh, how do I get that over to my person? I don't look at it like that.
Yeah.
How do I get to build a relationship with a new friend?
Yeah.
So that's kind of been the outlook on my business the entire time. Like, this is not a competition. It's you're in your lane, I'm in my lane, and we need to work together. I want to be your friend.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find people that I can grow old, get rich, and have a retirement plan with. Like, hey, you want to go fishing?
Right.
Like, hey, you want to go golfing? Hey, you want to go to Florida this week?
Just got back from fishing, brother.
I just
Weren't you in
got back.
Alaska?
Yes, I was just in Alaska, 14 days.
Well, that's awesome. That's really good that you've built a life that gives you that freedom. I'd like to talk a little bit about, when you transitioned over, because you were in retail pretty much your entire career, right?
Well, no, I was broker, and I was only in retail for like 6.5, 7 years.
Okay. You were a broker back when subprime was, right?
Yes.
So 6 or 7 years before joining Edge, you were retail.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
What were some of the things why, because you and I talked, as well as, I know Nick was hitting you up, there were other of our team members that were saying, hey, you got to really look at this, right? And you didn't move for quite a long time. It's probably 2-3 years, like from
Solid.
the time we started having those conversations. I remember your direct manager at that time, we were talking to him too, and I remember the conversation with him was basically like it is with most retail managers.
How do I get paid?
Well, how much money am I going to make off of my guys, right? And that's really what it came down to. And it's like, well, listen, it's not really our model. Like, we want to be able to, there's a way for you to grow a team, but we don't have the bloated infrastructure or bloated margins to be able to pay somebody $100,000 or $200,000 hiring bonus, right? So my question to you is, like, during the couple of years that you didn't join and we were talking to you, what were some of the reasons?
Wow. Stupidity at its finest. Like I said, tripping over dollar bill. Let's be real. I was tripping over $100 bills to pick up a penny.
Yeah.
I had clients that needed down payment assistance, and they touted the fact that we're the only one that's ever going to have Minnesota housing. You'll never be able to get that in the broker world.
Yeah, that was a big one.
You're never going to be able to talk to an underwriter. You got it so great right now with having a processor and an LOA, and you don't have to do anything other than sell. There was a plethora of things that they basically wrap you in a warm, fuzzy blanket, put your slippers on, give you hot milk, and say, just chill, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Everything's good here.
Yeah.
They don't want you to know what's behind the curtain.
No, they really don't. And I think a lot of them give you the support, of having you not do certain things so that you feel reliant upon.
Reliant is 100% the word I was thinking.
So once you came here, and I'll just say in your first 6 months, because you've been here almost 2 years now, right? Tell me some of the realizations that you had, or reasons that, why you share the sentiment that you did. Like, you basically were stuck in a mindset because everybody that you trusted, right? The
Told
people
me that's how it was.
Yeah.
Which was blatant lies.
Yeah. So tell me about your first 60 days, 90 days, 120 days. Like, share some of the things as they would come true. Like, what did you myth bust on your own?
Oh my gosh. Number one, being able to talk to my account rep whenever I needed to. Like, they told me when I came here, you're going to do your first couple of loans with UWM. I've honestly only done like 4 or 5 loans that haven't been UWM outside of my commercial stuff.
Yeah.
Christina is amazing. Having an underwriter I can talk to, and like not even just talk to, but like problem solve. Like, hey, go get me this instead.
Yeah.
I didn't have the ability to do that at Bay Equity, Fairway, any of the other companies that I've ever been at. You can't talk to an underwriter. You got to go through this person to go to that person to go to that person, and then you lose the communication in the middle of that.
Yep.
Being told that I'm not going to have any support from, who are you going to chase after over there? All the big guys are never going to share anything with you. Nobody's going to be there to help you. You're going to be on an island on your own.
Yep.
And that is so far from what I have found coming here. Like, I come in and I see you in the morning and I'm like, I always have questions. And if I don't have an answer from you, I know that there's somebody here I can get it from.
Yeah.
And to be able to say that I'm a resource, like, I like doing fix and flips. I like funding commercial properties. I've renovated and helped hundreds of homeowners do this over the course of my career, whether it was hard money, working with one of my real estate agents, doing a contract for deed, and now being able to fund them.
Yeah, definitely a resource to the team for that. So, I mean, that's good to hear. I would say, outside of the normal stereotypes, right? Can't talk to underwriters, this, like all things. How has, because a relationship is built off of, really, can you deliver? Right? I mean, I hate to say it, but it's a reality of it. You could have a great relationship with somebody, but if you don't have the resources to deliver, the value proposition of the relationship fails. Right?
I want to speak on this. So my first loan coming over here, had just shifted my license over. I hadn't gotten sponsored yet. I have a client who calls me back. I did a cash out refi for him like 6 months ago, and they're like, "Hey, it's the 6 month mark. We paid our sixth payment. We want to refi into our rate and term refinance." I'm like, "Well, I'd love to help you do that. I'm not licensed yet." So I had the guy who sponsored me, brought me on board. He's like, "Have her do an application on my website." The good thing about United Wholesale Mortgage is you can take your file. I can take your file and start it there for you, and then as soon as you're licensed, we'll just transfer it back into your name. That file came in at 10 a.m. She did her application. By noon, findings were ran. By 2:30 that afternoon, she had submitted her documents. Bridget submitted that file before 4 p.m. and at 6 o'clock in the morning, we had our conditional approval, which was, I need title and I need the updated homeowners. It was a day one certainty, got an appraisal waiver, got to verify income through day one certainty. They did their assets through day one certainty, and it came out, and I'm like, I wouldn't even have had the file disclosed yet by the disclosure desk at the previous company I was at, and we're waiting on title and HOI. He's like, "Yeah, that'll be done tomorrow. It'll be cleared close in in 48 hours.
Yeah,
you're going to be cleared to close before you could actually physically close that file." I was like, "There's no way that's going to happen," and it did. Exactly what he said was going to happen. My numbers with our scoring at UWM, I think they're 13 days and from submission to clear to close.
Yeah.
I'm 8.8.
Yeah, flying under 10 days.
Under 10 days.
Wow.
And I had one of my new guys got a file cleared a month early, and he's like, "What do I do?" He's like, "I got to extend the lock one day." I'm like, "No, you don't. You got to call all the people involved and say, do you want to close early? We're done.
Yeah,
we're clear a month early." And this has been the stuff that dreams are made of here.
That's awesome.
Like being able to tell my agents that, hey, I can close your loan in 2 weeks. Probably less, but 2 weeks.
So I love that story. What I want to try to understand for myself is, since coming here, has it helped you with cultivating or strengthening the relationships you have?
It's 180 degree different than it was at any other place that I was at. It's like, hey, hopefully I'm going to be able to get a good rate.
Yeah.
Now I don't worry about that.
Yeah.
I'm going to get the best rate. I'm cheaper, I'm faster, and I'm easier to work with than anybody else.
Beautiful. Love it. I mean, that pretty much covers it. Though, one of the things that you said that I just kind of want to touch on for some of the people that are maybe listening is, one, I treat everyone that works with us as their own business owner, right? So your business, even though we do the same thing, is a tad bit different. Meaning, you have your own team members, right? You mentioned one of them. Bridget has been with us for a long time. What does Bridget do for you? She's your processor?
Wow. She's a processor. She's a loan officer's assistant. She is an opener. She's my mortgage mom. Bridget says, "Matt, I need you to jump." I jump.
Yeah.
I tell my clients the exact same thing. You're going to get an email tomorrow morning. It's probably going to be between 5:30 and 6:30 a.m. because Bridget starts early.
Yep.
And that's her introducing herself. She is the mortgage mom. If she asks you for something, you're buying a house. Do me a favor. Take 5 minutes, stop what you're doing, get her the things she needs, and get it back to her, and then she's out of your hair for the day.
Yeah.
And she's not going to call you or pester you in emails like, "Hey, how's your day going?" It's going to be, "I need this." And we're going to move quickly.
She'll normally have a little bit of...
there's a little fluff in there.
Yeah, she always does. She's notorious for that. And by
I think
the
she's
way,
got some of that saved, like an automatic.
She does, but she crushes it. And I think she just had a birthday yesterday or something. So happy birthday, by the way.
Happy birthday, B.
She's amazing. So we talk about your team building, right? So I know Bridget is handling a lot of stuff on your processing, but you've expanded more than just with Bridget, right? I know you've taken on kind of what I did for a little bit, and bringing on people to mentor, and you have a new mentor right now, or mentee that you're helping, right?
So I met Nathan at a discount tire, happened to be reading a book I had just finished listening to on Audible by Chris Voss called Never Split the Difference. Great negotiations book. I asked him, are you in sales? Why are you reading that book? He's like, "No, I teach." I was like, "Well, what do you teach?" He's like, "Fifth graders." I was like, you probably need that book.
Yeah,
you got to negotiate with preteens. And he's like, what do you do? I'm like, I sell money. And there happened to be some chick who was talking about the first-time home buyer thing, and I went over and talked to her and went and sat back down next to him. He's like, I want to do what you're doing. I'm like, what's that? He's like, sitting here in a pair of sweatpants on a Tuesday in the middle of the afternoon selling money at a discount tire. I'm like, well, if you wanted to do this, you got to go get licensed. There's some continuing education, some things you got to go do. I said, if you're really interested, why don't you go chew on this and call me tomorrow, and maybe we can grab a cup of coffee. Calls me tomorrow. Go down and show him what he needs to do. It's like $400. He's like, oh, it's a lot. I'm like, well, it's either you do it or you don't. It's kind of up to you. I got stuff for you to do if you want to do it. Calls me a week later. He's like, I got the education done. I'm like, okay. So, well, you should probably schedule your test. He's like, oh, I scheduled already. He's like, well, call me back when you're done with it. He's like, well, I'm taking it this afternoon. Okay, well, call me if you pass. Calls me and says he got a 98 on it. I'm like, dude, are you serious? So
wicked smart kid.
Smart kid.
Yeah, he really
So
is.
I bring him in here, and I basically made him do what I did, which was you get on the phone and you're going to grind.
Yep.
And I sent him home with a couple of books. One of the books was called Go for No. Like, get kicked in the teeth a few times. Like, people aren't going to tell you yes all the time. And you've got to get used to hearing no, because the no's are going to lead you to the yeses.
100%.
And he found a bunch of no's, but has also found a bunch of yeses.
Yeah,
and I
found
think
a bunch of yeses.
He's got the one loan that's clear to close. He's closed one already. He's got two more that are in the pipeline that are, Bridget's working her magic on him. So he's hustling.
Yes, it's really cool. I love to see the next generation of LO come in that gets mentored by, we're probably, I'll say, because we're in our 40s. So you got the 60, 40, 20, right?
Yeah, 60, 40, 20.
The next generation, the 20-year-olds like Jake, Jake might be over 20. To just watch like
them come up.
And then to get it, right? Like, to me, I got to, you were fishing in Alaska. I had to spend some time with the kid, and it's just fun to see,
it click.
Yeah, and now, like, to get it. Like, I don't have to say, like, the basic things. He understood it. Like, where'd you get this client? Oh, I was calling, and I got, like, he's working hard. You're doing a great job mentoring him.
I appreciate that.
I think it's something that I wish more of our loan officers would take the time in doing. And truthfully, as leaders, you get compensated a little bit, so it's not a waste of time for you. But it really has to be a drive to where, like, when you see something in someone, to put it out there. And just like you did, I would say similar. You met the guy at Tires Plus, Jose, we've had on here, him like a Meineke. And he's probably one of the sharpest, same as Nathan, just really gets it, smart, and needs somebody to show them a different way or an option.
I brought Nathan on because I watched what you did with Jake and with, hearing how you brought Sid out of a car lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that stuff meant something to me. And I'm like, I can do that. I don't want to do that for a bunch of knuckleheads, but I'll do it with a couple of guys that got some gumshoe to them. And Nathan had the gumshoe, man. That kid went out and he spent his own money on getting education. When he scheduled his test, did all his studying, and like, he's like, I want to do this. Like,
I still remember you when he started. You brought like this old box in.
Oh yeah,
you had like a box of applications from over the years of just like, okay, here's what you got to do. And I was expecting him to like get the deer in the headlights, like, but he picked it up and just started calling.
Yep.
Like, it was,
make calls. Like, some people are gonna tell you no, they can't take your birthday away.
That's it was really cool. And I'm glad you do that, right? I think it's to me, I'm a firm believer in giver's gain. Hopefully you made an impact on his life.
I hope I've helped his life significantly.
Yeah, I think you have. I think it's just getting started, but I definitely would agree that it's made a big role. So let's talk about you right now with the business that you're doing, right? You've kind of coined yourself in some different niche products, right? You've been kind of the one. You got two niches right now that all identify with you, whether you know it or not. One's you know that you do fix and flip, so that's obvious. But then commercial, right? You've been doing commercial and dabbling in that in a market where even the hustlers, right? I'm gonna call you a hustler. I'm a hustler. A lot of the guys that we have in our office here are business is still slow, right? I mean, we're busy. Don't get me wrong. We're still closing loans, but we're doing, for me, it was doing 50, 60 a month. Now, granted, I'm stepping back from originating, but even with the stuff I have, it's like more than half, right? And I know it's the same for you because that's the industry we're in right now. Still working and getting, things done. But what are you doing right now in a down market to get yourself the opportunities, like to get more swings?
More swings. Honestly, you guys brought WowMe to the equation.
Yeah.
I use WowMe, which is the social media posting.
Did that work?
Significantly. I'm closing. I'm supposed to be closing tomorrow. I'm dealing with Frito-Lay not wanting to verify employment for a client right now. But this is a girl I am connected with from a previous business partner who happened to see my stuff because I tagged him in a post. She's moving from Washington. I haven't talked to her in 20 years. Yeah. Called me up like, hey, I saw your post. Me and Trey are moving. We want to move back to Minnesota. You want to do our house loan? I'm like, I would love to.
Yeah, that's
like,
awesome.
Which social media platform? She's like, well, I'm on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, and I see you on everything. Yeah. Like, was it a reel? Was it a story? She's like, probably saw all of them. Pretty sure they were all the same thing. I'm like, yes, they were. Yeah, good. So WowMe has done that. I'm pulling a couple of applications a week off of that. I go out for a walk in the morning with my dog, and I think about what was, I'm doing this thing called the Miracle Morning. I get up in the morning early and I do all the things at the house I need to do. And then I go and I immediately go for my walk with my dog. I get my exercise in, I get my mindful meditation in. My mindful meditation is just thinking about what was yesterday and what did I do? Who did I help? What was the problem that I solved? And then I literally go into open my video, turn it towards me, and I'm a one taker. Yeah. I do not edit it. I've spent 5 minutes thinking about what I'm going to say. And at that point, I got enough stuff rattling around up here that I'm like, start spitting it out.
Yeah, it's authentic. And I think that's what, for them, I mean, most people appreciate authentic, unless you're authentically an asshole, and then they don't.
Then it doesn't go so well.
But for the most part, people love authenticity, right?
So that's the one thing I got from Fuse last year. I went to the early morning social media boot camp, and he says, your people need to hear your voice. They don't want to see
Kyle Draper?
Yeah, I think it was Kyle. Yeah, and he's like, they don't want to see you posting pictures of you at a closing, like, hey, look, I got a paycheck today. Yeah. They want to know, how are you going to help me get to a table like that? Yeah. So I've stopped doing pictures of me at a closing. My real estate agents can tag me in them, but I don't really want that. It feels self-edifying, and it's not something I like to do.
Yeah, I mean, my personal opinion on it, I think you got to start somewhere, right?
You absolutely
you start
do.
there, it shows people that you can actually get the job done. Yep. To the average person that's not in our industry, all they're thinking about is like, this is somebody who is a closer. Yep. So, the biggest thing that I'm hearing is really execution on you making a change to having a digital footprint.
And it's action steps every day. It's doing something every day.
Yeah.
You had a book in your office called Be Obsessed or Be Average by Grant Cardone. Yeah. And that guy made it from zero to the top of Facebook inside of like 90 days because he fanatically posted. Yeah. And I look at it like this. If somebody doesn't like my posts, I might lose a friend here and there. But I've got ones that are coming off, and I got a list of ones that want to come on. So it's like, it is what it is.
Yeah, that's the truth. I think when you start worrying about the people that don't like what you're doing, then you're doing it wrong.
You're doing it wrong.
Right?
Correct.
You got to focus on, like when you're authentic about what you like doing, like you are, you like to help people, right? I mean, and it shows very clearly from even your morning stuff. Like, I watch it because normally it's pretty good. Like, I'm learning something.
I appreciate that.
It's but it really comes down to execution, right? I think that you hit on something that I'd like to challenge you on going forward is, WowMe does it for you, and you build out some great context, but every day you're fixing problems. Next time you're fixing a problem in your office,
do a video,
right? Because you flew out to LA to shoot it and do everything else, which is great because a lot of people needed that motivation. But like, you authentically with what you're doing can have that up to date and recreate it all the time. So
100%.
That's going to be my ask from you this week is
consider it done. I'm always looking for new things to do.
You fix problems all the dang time, so share it. I know for me, I watch Gary Vaynerchuk a lot, right? Gary, he has been at a lot of our Fuse events, and that's kind of was his advice, like exactly what you said. People don't necessarily, it's great to have the picture of closing, but let's talk about the uniqueness of what your offering is. I've equated the mortgage industry to, I like to play poker, so I use poker as an analogy, where every mortgage professional is playing with the same 52 cards.
100%.
Yet it's just like poker. You have the same people at the final table. You go to the World Series of Poker, and there's like 40,000 participants. Yet it's normally the same 5 or 6 people sitting at the final table.
Yep.
And I want to be. That's me. Like I want to be the best damn player at what we're doing, right? And in order to do that, you need to get better. You need to. What worked yesterday might not work today, right? We're getting ready to come into. I kind of put it out internally, and since this is an internal communication, it wasn't a doom and gloom, but we're starting to see jobs now. Like, right?
I saw
to
it
me,
this
it's
morning.
like, what do you guys think's going to happen? Like, it's pretty. Like, I don't want to say it's clear because every time you think you know what's going to happen, it doesn't happen. But this time, it's like, wow, the market's so strong, everything's so good, and then wait, yellow trucking goes out of business.
Yep.
That's 30,000 jobs. CVS just laid off 5,000 people. We're starting to see once we lose jobs, then it doesn't matter if people had a 2% interest rate. You can't pay your mortgage if you don't have a job. Right? And I think that's our next wave coming here for us to where it's like, I don't know what the future holds, but all I know is what we did yesterday isn't going to work for tomorrow.
Right.
We have to consistently work on getting better, which is why I love having an office with other people because I can learn and I can see, okay, this is what Jake's doing. Jake's doing things that are picking up on social media or his like. He gives me advice all the time, unsolicited, but he gives me advice all the time. But it's fabulous. Like great because that's where he's plugged into, right? It's like same for you. So, let's talk about the future here for yourself, right? I think you're a little older than me. What are you, 45?
45.
Yeah.
Yep.
Damn, it's 2 good guesses today with Matt. I'm on fire.
Bam.
You got 15 years left working, right? I'm going to call it a little plus, maybe 20. What's your game plan? Like, what do you see, like, for you, what are your future goals at this stage in life?
Future goals at this stage of life. I'd like to get to the point where I'm making $1 million to $1.5 million in originating.
Yep.
I got selfish reasons for wanting to do that. Like, I can live on what I make right now just fine. My church puts up a big number every year that they want to do for Kingdom Builders. I start crying thinking about this.
Yeah.
I want my number when I give to $1 doesn't mean as much to me as $100,000.
Yeah.
does. You know what I mean? Like I want to know, like, hey, church is like we need $100,000 to fund this. I want to be able to say, I got that one.
Yeah.
Those are the things that mean something to me. I want to be remembered for leaving a positive mark on earth, and it's not just going to be behind from my kids.
Yeah, good.
So
good. I'd like to hear that. I think a lot of people get afraid to talk about money with being successful. And I think not unfortunately, it's fortunately, money is a byproduct of success, right? Yep. It's like, it's okay to, if you're going to put if you're going to put money before people's needs, then you got a problem. Yep. But to be able to chase success is a healthy thing, right? I mean, to me, I'm doing it. I'm doing it daily. Like, I want to be better than I was yesterday. I know if I am, I'm going to make more money. That's great, But at the same time, good. I like your transparency on that. And
I had a mentor in a, network marketing business. I ran Amway. And I didn't run Amway.
I forgot about that.
I didn't run Amway because I wanted to sell vitamins and soap.
Yeah.
I wanted to know what my upline diamond knew because that dude painted houses before he was making $2.5 million a year doing Amway.
Yeah.
And it was the mindset. It was the books he was the books he was reading, the things he was listening to.
Who was the guy that was your...
Matt Grotwald.
That's right.
Yep.
I remember that. I forgot that was your stick, was the Amway thing.
Matt Grotwald.
Didn't you put that into mortgages too? Weren't you giving like closing gifts or something?
They ended up getting rid of the closing gifts that I was giving out, but our entire Cascade office was doing, so what I would do is after a closing, I had a ribbon album.
Yeah.
Pick out 50 different things that you could choose from.
Yes.
And you send it to the client. And by the way, when you're done picking it out, I want you to write the 4 names and the numbers and the email addresses of the people you're going to refer to me so I can give them the same ribbon album thing.
Yeah.
And here's a self-addressed stamped envelope coming back. And by the way, here's a spot where you can handwrite out a little testimonial about how well it went. So that made their life real easy. Like, hey, I got a package coming to you. There's a little gift in there, and then there's some stuff to send back to me.
Yeah.
And that went out on every one of my files, and I was getting 3, 4, 5 referrals off of my refi business. And guys in the office were like, how are you doing this? And I said, well, I'm doing exactly this.
Yeah.
Do you want to spend $50 as a closing gift on your clients? You do? Great.
Yeah.
How many loans are you closing this month? And eventually, Cam, the owner of the company, came to me and said, how do I get everybody doing this? I said, well, on the 1st and the 15th, you give me the list of the loans that were closed, and I order the ribbon albums, and I have them sent here. He's like, well, we're going to probably just need you to buy a bunch of them and just have them here so we don't have to wait. And I was like, well, that works out for me. So we were buying like 500 ribbon albums at $50 a piece every 30, 60, sometimes 90 days. And everybody started doing it. Everybody started getting flooded with referral business. And then Amway was like, yeah, you're really one of the only people who's using this. We're going to get rid of it. And it went away.
Yeah.
Then I was like, I'm probably done chasing after these meetings and all this other junk you guys are taking away. Like, it was a decent income for me outside of my mortgage stuff, and it was bringing business into the entire company. Like, it was flooding in.
I completely forgot about that until you brought that up. I remember you were kind of coined as the Amway guy.
I was. I absolutely was.
I remember you, and then somebody else was doing it too that was in...
My processor back then was Katie, and she was doing Amway with me. She brought her mom on. And it was, once again, it goes back to like the mentality, the thought process, because that's a sales business, and that's
100%.
That's a hard sales business. Like, hey, you want to buy vitamins for $1,500 a year? Like, no. Do you want to buy soap that's more expensive than Walmart? No. So that's where the Go for Notebook came from. But like, I wanted to know what these guys who were talking from a stage were. Where are you spitting this from? Like, where are you getting this information from? Like, how do you have this in your head? If you were painting walls or you were a contractor pounding nails, where did you get it? And that's where, like, I have a library at home that shocks most people. Like, and I've read every book that's in it. And now I'm listening to them all again as I'm going through. Like, doing a small book club with Eddie Perez with EPM, where he gave me 10 of the books that he's listening to. He's trying to do 100 books this year. Told me to listen to them at 1.6 times the speed on Audible. And I'm flying through books. I'm listening to the Creature from Jekyll Island right now, which is about the creation of the Federal Reserve and the Rothschilds, and it's terrifying. But it deals with our industry. I downloaded a new book, which was Lights Out. It's the GE story, but I met a guy on the plane who knew my old business partner down in Texas in his oil business. And he's like, you should download this book. Some of the people you know are in here. So I'm like, I'm looking for things that are of interest, but also I just want knowledge. I want to be able to have something to talk to people about. Can't talk about the weather to everybody.
No, you really can't. I agree. Good. Well, Matt, I hope you know that you're appreciated here. I think you bring a good flavor to the culture that we have, right? Always upbeat, always just authentic. You do a great job. I'm glad glad we're team members, right? It took a long time.
I came looking for a mentor when I came here, and there was really nobody. There was a person, you and I both know who she was at Bay Equity, that I could chase after, and she wasn't worth chasing after. You, on the other hand, have been steady as the day is long. Everybody told me Tom would give you the shirt off of his back. If you need help, he's willing to help you. I remember coming in being nervous to come talk to you at the old office, like, can I office here? Like, I need somebody I can chase after. And I don't know where I'd be right now if you hadn't said yes. And I love being in this office. I love being around all the guys that are here. I get answers from people that I didn't think I'd get answers from. Like, Little told me something the other day that I didn't know, and I'm like, you're brand new. Like, I like the fact that you know stuff I don't know. Like, I'm going to come talk to you more often.
That's how it goes. I mean, that's where I think the hive mentality, like, we try to create it online with Edge Connect, but having a good group of people that we strive off the energy and excitement and the fact that we really get the opportunity to do an amazing job. Right?
I started losing that working at home. Like, I went and sheltered in place. And got real comfortable wearing a sweatshirt and pair of sweatpants and putting a nice shirt on for my Zoom meeting on Thursday. And I missed the camaraderie. I missed being around the heat. I don't want to call it the boiler room, but man, I missed the boiler room.
Yeah, that's what it is. You're not going to sit there and not do something when you see everybody in a line on the phone.
100%. Like, I walk around here.
One last thing. For our listeners, if you could highlight, we covered WowMe. What is your highest yielding activity?
Calling my agents.
Okay.
Every single week. Now, I did core coaching way back when, and I don't follow the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday thing because people get a clue as to, oh, it's Monday at 10 a.m. again. You're calling today on Monday at 10 a.m.
Right.
But I make sure the agents that I'm doing business with hear from me multiple times a week. The ones that I don't have anything going with, call once a week. The ones that I'm chasing after who haven't, returned phone calls, they probably get a call every other week. And then I do my market update video. I should probably start copying you on those again. That's the calls and the market update video. I got 250 agents on my list that I send that out to. And every once in a while, somebody raises a hand like, hey, I need a new guy. I'm
100%.
still waiting for my guys up in Cross Lake to raise their hands like, hey, we need a broker up here now.
Yeah.
So
it'll happen.
It'll happen.
Consistency is key, right?
Yep.
I like that you're executing on those tasks because it really, to me, it's like, it's like a stupid saying, but closed mouths don't get fed. Right?
100%.
If you're not willing to make the calls, and if you're shy, then make the emails. And they're a little slower. They take a little bit more time.
Yeah.
It's not an aggressive, but at some point when you realize how hard people work to make the kind of money we do, and realize you can do it just by picking up the phone and calling people, it's like still mind-blowing to me.
Yep.
But thank you again. We're going to wrap. That was another great episode of Inside Edge. I know, I just had to throw you. I always like telling Jake the wrong name. Around the Edge. We'll be here every week highlighting one of our team members, showing the things that they're doing to help dominate, giving an idea of what the culture here is at Edge Home Finance. Matty B, love you,
Thank you,
brother.
Tom. I
Thank
appreciate you.